Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather. Today, we're gonna use up some more of our sourdough discard. Those of us who do sourdough bread know that inevitably there are days whenever we feed our sourdough and then we end up not using it, which then makes sourdough discard. Well, I mean, most of you probably have sourdough discard all of the time, but I use the zero discard method. But sometimes I feed my discard and then I forget that I wanted to make bread and then I don't, and then I have all this discard. So I am always looking for recipes that let me utilize this because I hate to throw it away. And I don't always like to dry it because I have dogs and their hair and yeah. So we're gonna use our sourdough discard to make pita bread. Yes, sourdough pita bread. You ready for this? Let's get started. What you're gonna need is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of instant yeast. Active dry yeast will also work, but you're gonna have to bloom it ahead of time. Half of a cup of warm water, 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Okay, those of you using instant yeast, you can just go ahead and go on with your recipe as like skip this little part. Those of us who are using active dry yeast, my water is warmed up. I'm gonna sprinkle my yeast over the top of the water, making sure that my water is not over 110 degrees. And then I'm gonna give it a little stir. And then I'm just gonna leave it kind of in there while I mix up the other stuff. All right, and in this bowl, we're gonna put our flour and our salt. We're gonna give that a little whisk. And while we're waiting for that to bloom, our pita bread needs to be cooked on either a pizza stone or a cast iron skillet of some sort. I have the grill cast iron pan from Pampered Chef. I think it's called the grill pan. I don't remember what it's called. But I'm gonna use that because I could probably get 2 of them on there. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the oven. That way when I preheat the oven later, I remember that it's in there, or I don't remember, or I won't have to remember. That's it. I won't have to remember it's in there because I'm already preheating it. But we're gonna need to have some rise time, and we have some wait time in this, so don't turn on your oven yet. All right, the other thing we're gonna do while we wait for that yeast is we're gonna measure out our room temperature discard. It's important that it's room temperature because we want our bread to rise a little bit. So I'm gonna I'm gonna measure out a cup of this. And I still have a little bit, maybe I'll make a little pizza for lunch later. All right, and once that yeast is nice and dissolved, you are going to make a little well in the middle of your bowl, pour in your yeast, pour in your oil, and your discard from the ingredient cannon. Now we are gonna mix it in this bowl until it gets shaggy, and then we're gonna transfer to the mat. This recipe also makes 6 pita. So if you need more than 6, you're gonna have to double everything, do double of everything. But 6 is pretty good for 1 meal. All right, looking pretty shaggy to me. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump it, bink, onto my counter, and I'm gonna get all of this out. All right, now we're gonna bring this together with our hands. Now, if you have rings on, it is important that you take those rings off because you will get dough all inside of them and it'll be very hard to get out. Ask me how I know. We're gonna massage this until we have a smooth ball of dough. And if you need, I have more flour here. So if I need more flour, I'll go ahead and add it so that it doesn't stick to me. And I'll probably add 2 or 3 tablespoons max to this dough and make sure I get all of my little bits incorporated into this dough, but it should not be sticking to your hands. So that's when you know to add a little bit more. And I'm just using regular all-purpose flour, by the way. I'm not even using fancy flour. My starter has fancy flour in it, but whenever I make cookies or other things that don't matter quite as much as the type of flour, I just use a regular generic all-purpose flour. It does change the quality, but it's a pita. And what I really want is what goes inside the pita. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm wrong. All right, and once it's not sticking anymore, now comes our 2-minute knead. So let's set a timer for 2 minutes and we're just gonna knead for 2 minutes. And if it gets sticky again, just sprinkle it with a little bit more of your flour. Now, could you do this in a stand mixer with a dough hook? You could, but it's only a 2-minute mix, and I feel like it comes together way more fast that I don't want to clean my mixer. I could probably do the whole thing in my mixer, actually. I mean, when it boils down to it, the whole thing could probably be in the mixer and I wouldn't have to use all of this other stuff. But the mixer sometimes over mixes and makes the dough a little bit too sticky, like it overhydrates, and you end up using a little bit more flour than you would on the counter. So I'm really careful about what I mix with the dough hook, but I'm sure I could adjust. All right, here we have our little dough ball. Looks so cute. All right, here I have a clean bowl and I am going to pop it down inside of there, and then I'm going to drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, and then I'm going to just wipe it all around. So beautiful. All right, look at that. Now we are going to cover it loosely, which is why this is not airtight. I can actually take out my little air plug here. And we're gonna let this sit at room temperature for about an hour or until it's doubled in size. If it is cold in your house, you may turn on your oven, your oven's light, and put it in your oven. However, if you put it in, like if you have a double oven and you have it one of those small ovens, and I'll tell you why I know this. If you have a small oven and the light's on, or a big oven with the lights on, that's gonna make a difference. So if you only have a small oven to put it in and kind of proof, that's gonna be too warm and it's actually gonna overproof your bread. So you'd need, if you waited the whole hour, so you'd need less time. So really watch it. However, the light on in the bottom oven where there's lots of extra circulation, that's perfect. I know this because I did croissants last week and I put one of them in my top oven, which is the little oven, and then I'd put one in my bottom oven, and the one in the top oven way overproofed, and the one in the bottom oven didn't, it's underproofed. So anyway, okay, we'll be back whenever it's doubled in size. And here we go, doubled in size. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the bowl. And we are gonna divide this dough into 6 pieces. How you divide it into 6 pieces is ultimately up to you. I wouldn't measure or weigh, it's just a pita. All right, now I'm going to gently deflate these, push this together, just a little bit, just gently. And I kind of want to leave them in circles. All right, now we're gonna cover it with a towel. Wait, I need to make these into balls first. I knew they needed to be something like balls, but my brain wasn't going there. So pinch these into little balls, and we're gonna let them rest as little balls. And the reason we're making them into balls is because it'll be easier to roll out after our 30 minutes is up. Now that they are in balls, we will cover and be back in half an hour. Okay, if you haven't already, you definitely need to have your oven preheated before you start rolling these out. So what we will do is we will take one at a time and roll these. Now I have some 6x6 pieces of parchment paper, and what I will do is I will roll each of these out and put them onto the piece of paper, and that's what I'm gonna use to put it into the oven. Now, when you roll it out, make sure that you don't roll too hard. We want to keep some of the air inside of it. So I'm going to flip the dough ball over and I'm going to press very softly on my dough ball, trying to keep it in a circle. Okay, circle-ish. And then I'm going to put it right onto my piece of parchment, and then I'm going to set it off to the side. And now I'm going to do that with all of these. All right, and when you're all done, we are going to let these sit here for 15 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, and as you can see here, the pitas actually got a little bit puffier, so now they're ready to go into the oven. Now, carefully put these onto your preheated stone or cast iron. They need to cook for about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes, or until they are light brown and puffy. And the moment they come out, you are going to need to put them in something and cover them. So I have a tortilla warmer right here. And what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to trap the steam, as much steam as I can, inside of it. If you don't have a tortilla warmer, you can use like a bowl with a towel over the top, but something to trap that steam, because the steam will actually make the pita the exact right texture. Look at that. Puff, puff, puff. Yay! Make sure you have your oven gloves ready. Okay, I'm gonna put this here so you can see it. And I'm gonna get it in and get the next one in and... Okay, look at that. Look at that nice little pita pocket. Okay, we put them in there. Shut this. Now we'll get the next set in. Okay, all done. I did have to switch to a towel because obviously I couldn't get all 6 into my little, it was a nice thought. All right, ta-da! Here we go. They're still a little warm, but I want to cut into them because I want to make sure that I can get them separated while they're still a little warm. So these are kind of small, but that's okay. Oh, bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Perfect pita. I'm gonna go ahead and cut them all because I want them to dry open. And if they don't have, like, I should have probably rolled that one out a little bit thinner. That's okay, I'll still be able to open it. Now these pitas are good the day or two. Usually you wanna make them, let them cool and eat them right away. So these will cool and be for like lunch maybe. Or maybe we'll make, oh yeah, we're making lamb. They're gonna be for lamb later. You can store them in an airtight container on your counter for like 3 to 4 days. But every day they'll kind of get worse and worse and they just won't be very good. So if you like using up your discard and you thought that was, you know, a real easy way to do it, just make them fresh each day. Ba-ba. You can also store them in the freezer for up to 3 months. And then whenever you take them out of the freezer, let them defrost, and then you wrap it in a wet paper towel and put it in the microwave just for like 15 seconds, and then you will have the perfect, beautiful pita. So let's go ahead and do an up close so that you can see. So, as you can see here, I should have probably rolled it a little bit thinner, but I'm not gonna complain. My food's gonna fit in there so nicely. So if you are, let me find the one that didn't have a hole like that one. Look at that. Oh, that's so beautiful. That one was rolled out almost perfectly. So if you have one, yep, here we go. So if you have one like this that doesn't have a ton of pocket, let me show you what you can do. While it is still hot, take it and kind of push it open like this. And then looky there, you got plenty of pocket. You can also take some of this, it's still really hot. So you can also take some of this bread, whoo, that's still really hot. Once it's cool, you can take some of this breading out so that you have a bigger hole. But for the most part, this outside, because we let it rest for 15 minutes and then we cooked it like this, it has a great crust on it. So this crust is nice and firm. You can just pull on it and pull that out, no problem. And the taste of this, it's a great pita. Now, people will say, can you put, you know, herbs in there? Yes, you can. You would just put it in whenever you're doing before your first proofing. So put your herbs in. This would be great for peanut butter and jelly for your kids. Believe it or not, these are really, really delicious with peanut butter and jelly. You can do a lot of stuff with this, but if don't buy pita, just use your discard because that was easy. I didn't do much of anything. The hardest thing I did was rolling them, and then I didn't roll them out quite far enough, and that's fine. That was my fault, but I was kind of worried that I would push too much of the air out. I shouldn't have been worried. I've done it before. It's fine. And mine are usually a little bigger, so it's fine. But anyway, all right, you guys. Well, enough of my jabbering. We're done here. So if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I do videos about absolutely everything. You name it, I do it. I just do adventuring in the kitchen because I am a regular Joe average person who loves to adventure, and that's why I created this channel. So that's what I'm gonna do. Sometimes I do barbecue, sometimes I do baking, sometimes I do frying, air frying, sous vide, you name it, I do it. So if you have any ideas for me, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, you guys, I'm gonna get these all cooled up and we're gonna have us some lamb pitas. All right, you guys, we'll see you on the next adventure. Bye.